Howdy everybody, we're back, and we're going to be getting to another game here in a moment. The plans are to follow Neeb versus Fear.
But I think they already started.
Oh, did they start without us? Son of a gun.
Yeah.
That was quick, actually. But I guess with no vetoes, there's no time to waste. Yeah, they've been in game for 2 minutes, so never mind. Neeb not up next. That being said, I see Denver out of a game. Let's see what his score is versus True. Denver actually surprising us with the Ting qualifiers as he beat a Laser in the winners bracket to be the first player qualified into the European Ting side.
Yep.
So it's very possible he beats True, but at the moment we're going to wait to find out. If that series is done, the winner plays against Beastyqt, then bim bam boom, we got a match ready to go. Sort of in a live still playing, by the way. I thought they would have been done by now, because it's a pretty good game they got going on. Or a pretty good match, I should say. But, all right, well, thank you guys for watching, and super thank you for your patience while we wait. I thought we had that lined up, but looks like... Oh, Denver won! Nice!
Oh, wow.
Seriously, Denver is really good at TvZ, man. He was actually... If you guys didn't see it, he was streaming the other day, and we hosted him after the rebroadcast, and he was actually putting on a bit of commentary, but... I don't have you seen his stream at all, Zombie Grub?
Mm.
He has fully embraced Denver the Last Dinosaur memes. That's like his follower notification, and it plays like a clip of the song, and I like it. It's awesome. 10 out of 10 from Rifkin. But anyways, if Denver won, then we'll have Denver versus Beastyqt up next. So we'll get that hosted up in just a moment. So this will be TvZ. Let's see, are either of them streaming? I know Beastyqt was tuned into the stream. I don't think he's streaming though. No, and I don't think Denver is either. Okay, so nobody to really promote for this one.
Well, what do you think of the patch changes? Potentially.
Well, okay, there's the actual patch to talk about, right? For those who don't know, I think it's hitting tomorrow. I think Tuesday 10 a.m. was the scheduled maintenance. But I think it's really dumb. Nate's been talking about this a lot. I know I've been talking about it too. If you guys don't know, like, every time there's a patch, the version updates, right? So patch 3.8, if you patch anything after that, becomes patch 3.9 and so forth. Rather than going to something that would make sense, they're now going from patch 3.9 to patch 3.1, which you might think, how does that make sense? Well, because it's actually 3.10, okay, guys? And even though it's after the decimal place and everybody in every language in every country has been taught to not count those zeros for anything, Blizzard, radical rogues that they are, have decided to change the rules. And they're counting that zero.
You know, if they made it 3.11, then people would be like, well, where's 3.10?
I feel like this is like the equivalent to the Windows movement, though, right? Like Windows 8 to Windows 10. You just like, I
was talking about the actual content of the patches.
Oh, well, the content of the patch was interesting. It was discussing changes and stuff.
Wait.
The patch has not been announced. I got my fingers crossed. I hope this is where they finally like introduce war chests and stuff that they talked about at BlizzCon.
Well, yeah. Well, they recently, like, just now had the suggestion for the Liberators. Which is, I don't know if you saw.
Oh, no. Is there, like, a community update today?
Yeah, it was posted on Reddit, like, 21 minutes ago. But it's to change the Liberator damage so that it 3-shot Stalkers and 2-shot Sentries and High Templars, but doesn't change anything else. Which I think is pretty reasonable.
It's called the Concord Cannon? Blizzard.
I know. I mean, the one thing that I was talking with, like, maybe like the talk show or someone, I don't remember, but I was like, making them not be reactored, I think would help. And Mana even like tweeted about it too, like a week ago, saying that would be easy. But I think this is a good change too.
Well, I think TLO had mentioned actually that'd be too broken versus Zerg or something if that was the case. Because like, how do you possibly get enough out to fight ultras and such? But on that note, by the way, we're in the lobby, ready to go whenever. But I was gonna say, I really was most tilted about reading the potential Widowmine changes they were thinking about. Those aren't going through from what I understand, but the fact that that was the direction they were looking at, I was like, are you serious? Like, does nobody else remember Charge Lot Storm versus Terran being impossible to beat? Like,
well, I don't remember what exactly the Widowmine change was, but if they made it so that there was slightly less splash damage, but the main hit was still fine, like I still think it's still useful to get Widowmines versus charge lots, and charge lots wouldn't still overwhelm you, but that was certainly a problem. But even then, like I preferred Charlotte Archon much more over Colossus. Now we got these things called Adepts.
Well, there's a lot to be said. We'll see how it plays out over the next few months. I'll talk more on that in a moment. But spawning here in the top right to kick off this brand new best of 3 in the Corsair Cup, which of course nowadays is powered by Twitch, and you're gonna get to see that power up coming next week with the monthly finals. Top right side of the map is gonna be the yellow Terran player Beastyqt playing for My Insanity.
In the bottom left is the red Zerg. He is Denver.
Do you know what team he's on?
Red Bloods? I don't know. Oh, no, wait. Raw G? No, I don't actually.
Roman D Gaming.
You got the
But
logo. And those
what's interesting is looking at the way they have to nerf or balance Terran is a little bit tough. And I've talked about this in other casts too, but to bring it up again now, this is entirely for an objective point of view on this, guys. It's actually, I think, the most difficult thing to balance Terran, because right now, things that Beyond and Innovation are doing with Bio and the way they control their units, etc., is not being replicated by massive amounts of players out there. You don't have Diamond League players playing like Innovation for good reasons, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that they just go above and beyond that game. So for example, if you nerf something here but then buff something there to help the lower side of the community, you could be just absolutely just giving them way too many tools to run away with at the top level of StarCraft 2. So for Blizzard, a lot of us want to get tilted looking at some of these changes, and some of us really appreciate some of the changes. But I think for Blizzard, their primary goal isn't focused around the top players. They keep them in mind, but there are thousands of people who play StarCraft that vastly outnumber the few that we get to watch every day. So some of these balance changes leave me in question marks, but at the same time, I always understand where they're coming from and see that separate point of view, even if I don't agree with it. The Liberator change, though, I think is really interesting, and well, I don't love it myself. I think it's a great way to hit the nail on the head for this particular one, because when you watch Beyond and you watch Innovation, you watch the Terrans that set this matchup apart from everyone else, they're not really using Liberators that much. It's not really the core part of their army or the focus of what they go for.
So you like it or you don't like it?
I like the idea of it, because it's one of the things that's going to help massive amounts of people not die to stupid stuff while not tilting the favor of balance on the pro scale. And I think that's a really hard thing for Blizzard to do. So this might be a good thing.
I think it is one of the better options to start with, but it might be more than that, actually. Like, even as a Terran player, I really think that PvT is too good for Terran. I think there's too many options for Terran, because yeah, they're not doing, it's not mainly Liberators that they're abusing, but they're contributing to pushes that are abusive. You get 2 tanks, 2 Widowmines, 2 Liberators, and it feels like Protoss can't do anything about it.
2 Cyclones even.
Oh yeah, and Cyclones as well sometimes, like, are the perfect addition to that's all around.
Yeah, I don't know what to do to fix the game. Like, there's a million things that we can all complain about, and you'll see this reflected in David Kim's posts, almost like passive aggressively, right? Like, complaining doesn't help, solutions do. And the thing is, it is a lot easier to complain than it is to come up with solutions. But I'm not trying to be a shill or an advocate of Blizzard, guys. I'm just saying, like, I understand their hard decisions that they got to make. So this Liberator change might be good, might be terrible. You'll hear me bitching or praising about it in the next weeks to come. That's for certain.
Yeah. Does it change anything for Zerg though? Because someone put the stats specifically for Protoss, because that was the problem. Not sure it does anything versus Zerg.
We'll find out. I mean, I feel like the Liberator usage versus Zerg isn't nearly as big as a lot of people want it to be. Like, we really don't even see that many versus Ultras.
Right, which is why I didn't think Liberated Reactor would be that much of a detriment, or not Reactored, but I was thinking, like, if it changed the amount versus Queens, that would be something to consider. But even then, I don't think it would, like, break it.
I wish StarCraft had a system that was more like a loadout for what you bring to the battle. Kind of like what you had in the campaign. Like, you could pick. You either get Science Vessels or Ravens. Because I think that would certainly make for a very cool game.
Very different game, though. Very different, so yeah.
But that's the thing, like, if Liberators were the problem, you could give Zerg a loadout that could possibly deal with them rather than nerfing them.
Well, that aside, we do have the build finally, I guess, collapsing here. It's going to be a Hellion job initially, but we do have an armory already, so we can just pick these up and turn them into Hellbat to the front.
Yeah.
We saw an opportunity.
This
He's no third base though, and that should be scary. You should be thinking about Aspire.
Well, this is kind of cool because we've been speaking, referencing all those top Terrans before, right? BC's really doing a great job imitating what we're seeing out of people like Beyond and Innovation, where they are just kind of changing up their openings and stopping the 2-on-1s and instead going for like these Hellbat attacks.
Kind of elevator them. It's really awkward.
Yeah, it's still like he loses one to bring one over. It is super awkward, but he's getting some pretty cost-effective trades out of these so far. Not that last one though. Oh, that went badly. The medevac goes down too. That's gonna go real badly.
He did start already prepping for the mutas though, so I guess at the end of the day,
he's
if I
playing mech.
it's fine. Yep. I mean, he was getting Vikings to help, and he was,
Praise the sun!
obviously in need of an engineering base. We built that too. But, mech it is. I don't know about it though. Like, it did decent enough damage to kill that many lings and stop him from droning. But it is whirlwind cross position, so getting across the map when you do have a good army is going to give Denver a lot of time.
Here's my asterisk on that though, right? Like I agree. Like I think we've seen enough evidence at this point. Mech is not really looking super amazing, but Mech is still really good against players who don't know how to play against Mech. And I don't know if Denver's encountered enough of this where he's like, oh yeah, I've seen Thor builds and Cyclone builds enough. I know exactly what to do. No, if he's actually a little bit confused, has even the slightest wrong composition and Beastie gets to 200 supply, the Mech player is going to win those games most of the time.
Banelings? I'm always so hesitant to think that the Banelings actually do anything because there's a legitimate reason to get a Baneling nest to take out the Hellbats that are covering and Ling surrounds on doors, and tanks can be decent, but if Beastyqt plays it nice and calm and gets to enough of a mech army, you can very easily target down the Banelings. As long as you can play it safe.
I mean, the Banelings are good for killing SCVs. Maybe you hit some of the Hellbats if there are any, but Beastie looks like he's playing a little bit heavy to the Thors right now, looking for shots on the mutas. Gets a little bit scary. These mutas try and pick off some more units.
Yeah, third base still not quite set up, but these mutas are very low, and these Vikings have been helping out as well. He used to have two of them, didn't he? Yeah, down. Vikings have range, which is why they've been, well, after the Liberators got nerfed, I think they are a decent solution. So apparently this has been happening on the European server, and it's been funny listening to the pros talk about it, but the Europeans are convinced that mech is actually very bad, specifically against these swarm hosts.
So,
but you haven't seen enough mech games in other regions to say yes or no.
I think it's actually not just Europe that's going to say that. You ask most people in the regions, because swarm hosts have been making their way back a little bit lately, and part of this is, you know, the locusts were changed. Oh god, by the way, I love rapid casting, but he was calling the locust scarabs. I was casting GSL with Artois, and I was like, god damn it, dude, what are you doing? But anyways, that's small tilt aside for the moment. Locusts, they deal a lot of damage, but slightly less than they used to. They land from a bit further away, so you can't shoot them down out of the air so easily, but I do want to point out that they are still light units with low health, so 2 or 3 Thor volleys can actually kill a majority of locusts if they hit them early. And I think that's part of why we've been seeing Thor builds for mech come out of players, like watching Bunny and a bunch of others play. A lot of it is that thought of, well, at least you got the anti-brood lords, but also they will deal with locusts if done correctly.
Again, I haven't seen enough games of mech versus swarm host in any region to say yes or no, but again, like from what I've been hearing, is the Europeans say it's great, and these Korean players or people in Korea, right, like No Regret and Scarlet, are saying like, does it do anything? I don't know what you guys are talking about. It does not help at all. Versus like Innovation's mech build, right?
Yeah, that's the other part of it too, right? There's different types of mech builds, but this is where Blue Flame gets really important, because right now the Hellions, yeah, bonus versus light is good. It's still not nearly enough to even 3-shot the Locusts, but the Blue Flame helps out with that a ton. Again, Locusts only have about 50 health or something. I'll try and click on one when we see it next.
This is a very, very small Terran army, and it looks always so dangerous to push out like this. And again, on Whirlwind, cross position, it's not just the time at which they have to reinforce and actually make their way across the map. It's the fact that the middle of Whirlwind is such a big area that's very available for concaves. So Beastyqt is going to actually pull back, not going to creep. Denver has time to continue building his army, which is just swarm hosts.
Yeah, I mean, swarm hosts, let's talk about this. Like, as much good that may come from them, their attacks still have a really long cooldown. They only attack once every 45 seconds at most, and even then, you rarely see that be consistent. Oh, excuse me, apparently it's 43 seconds. But it's rarely consistent, right? Like, you don't really see somebody just camping out with Swarm Hose. Usually they hit and run. This was kind of a nice, very annoying move. 50 health on the Locust, so I was right about that.
Good job. Upgrade's looking decent for Denver. He's going to have 2-2. I don't see his next step, if he even has a next step in his plans. Like, is it just going to be Swarm Host Lings? And that's the best thing he can do, or is there any attempt
this
to
is
go into
actually
a hive?
This is really bad. He can lift the CC and save it, but all those SCVs are totally screwed if he stays there. However, he's also going to catch the Swarm Host in the middle of the map without their cooldown up. He might just be able to pounce, but as we see, Beasty's got to lift this base, or it's going to die in seconds flat.
Oh my god.
It still might die, though. It's burning pretty bad.
I think his SCVs are going back to repair it, so he might just be able to save it. He's got the attack going to the front. We have 32. Sorry, Baneling's on the way.
But he'll catch them. They're not hatched.
To kill. They're not hatched. Answer the majority of them.
Of course, Hellbats, by the way, do have enough damage. 33 versus light. They can tear through just about everything, whether it's locusts or otherwise. Tanks in the back are actually not going to be too helpful. He'll pick these off pretty easily with those locusts, so the tanks are going to be gone from this fight before it even begins.
And that's a pretty perfect scenario to have a lot of those tanks firing on well, units they're not supposed to be helping with. And they just Stormwolves absolutely collapse on Beastyqt.
Oh, Beasty's in trouble. This base took so long to get up, so the Planetary's not done. If the Planetary's done, this will look very different. We got some Liberators set up. Maybe they'll be able to push back the Locusts and the Swarm Host, but one base goes down. He's looking for another, but Beasty's throwing away so much of his army to get desperate with these trades. And honestly, the drone kill count, not that much. Oh, this Hellbat positioning is amazing.
We're playing that's pretty scary, but it is only 2 Hellbats, so not too much. And Denver is even pushing now. He did lose 2 bases, and his Swarm Host, if they do not have their Locusts, then they are just, you know, waddling turtles, no attack. Yeah. So you got to be careful at doing this. His bases are going to be...
Oh, that planetary needs to be pre-repaired even. Oh, God, he can't lift this. So this is actually where it's the worst scenario. He's going to kill the building that was building. He'll kill the one that can't lift. These Locusts are going to get a double kill. And that's some payback for the 2 hatcheries he just lost. But the Swarm Hosts get caught for it. Uh-oh.
Does he have any more units? I don't think he does to actually trap them. The Swarm Hosts here take out the 3rd base. A couple of Hellions are after them, but Swarm Hosts aren't...
We got a lot of health, actually.
Yeah. It just that, you know.
I think Beasty's in a lot of trouble at this point, though, and it has very little to do with this current standing army, but the fact that he's just not going to be able to get back to mining anytime soon. Denver with those Swarm Hosts is just kind of proving why a lot of Europeans, I guess, are finding them to be tilt-inducing.
Yeah. Seems like it. But if every game does look like this, that's a question of like why Beastyqt did you go mech? It looks terrible. But who knows? Beastyqt has always been that guy that tries different stuff. It's usually very fun to watch. But I was already questioning it just for being on Whirlwind, because I feel like mech, even without Foremost being in play, is a lot about like very crucial timing.
Oh God! Oh Jesus!
I find Whirlwind hard to do. So I don't know.
Well, the Liberators end up doing a surprisingly good job pushing out the midis. I will say it may have been an inadvertent nerf to that particular scenario, but I remember back when Liberators had that bonus versus light, Swarm Hosts were a joke to deal with. Maybe taking that away is just that little bit too much. Like, okay, it was really hurting the game versus Mutas, but as we can see, they're not doing anything against these Locusts. Look at that, they tickle them.
Oh gosh.
Not a single Locust died to 3 Liberators getting like 5 volleys off. Feels bad, man.
Well, the Swarm Hosts are dying. Bit of a mistake there. Oh my God! I don't think I've ever heard a Swarm Host die before. Made like the dinosaur yell. Right?
Well, Beasty managed to sneak a hidden base in, so he's still got income coming in, but unfortunately it is primarily in minerals and nothing left to really deal with the air. A couple of Thors maybe, but it's all Hellions he can produce right now. The idea for Banshees is cool. I like the idea a lot, but I don't think he's got any money to get Hyperflight Rotors or even Cloak.
No. No, basically he's pretty dead, but I guess he's thinking he killed 2 bases at Denver, so he shouldn't tap out. Denver's already replaced those. He's even replacing the drones now. Still off.
No, rip.
Still in play. Still help out. He really should be tapping out.
I mean, he's still expanding. I mean, I totally understand Beasty thinking he's still in this, but the Swarm Hosts have definitely dealt too much damage. And what's worse is it's not even just the Swarm Hosts, right? The Locusts and everything, damage was done, trades were had, but the fact is, Beasty doesn't have any more killing potential. When he suicided his army to hit like 3 bases at the same time, it looked like a good idea, and it almost worked. But when Mutalisk finds the top left, it's just slowly picking off mules and SCVs.
You could probably build a missile turret.
Maybe. Not with the more mutas coming now, though. It's a bit late. Plus, actually, I don't know if he could actually build a missile turret, because every bit of money he was mining was going straight to his army to make anything happen.
That's a good run by.
It is. Those drones are going to get toasted up barbecue styles.
That's going to put Denver back below 40 drones, which is pretty damn low. But his army is not only bigger than Beastyqt's, it's also consistent of mostly free units. So that's why he was able to replace the hatcheries in the first place and even get 1 extra. Because the problem is not the number. Oh, there's a bunch of problems. Numbers, unit type, whatever. But it's also like, unless Beastyqt saw what he did wrong and had the perfect answer to fix the next engagement, if he could even have one, like what are you gonna do? Because I don't think he has that answer.
Yeah, no.
If only my tanks were in position. I don't know.
With the speed at which Legacy of the Void plays, I know it's not really an option anymore, but I actually really like those rare games where you had MMA do like those bio-mech blends. And I think like versus Swarm Host, that would be pretty cool. Because if you had like completely unupgraded, sure, but if you had like Marauders and Marines sitting on top of the Swarm Host, they would kill them so much better than Hellions would. The Banshees are a great choice though in terms of trying to find units that can attack them. Banshees have the damage and the mobility to keep up. However, they're pretty weak, generally speaking. So the Vikings and the Liberators to accompany them is a cool move. I like it.
Those Swarm Hosts cause the Consume burn.
Yeah, there we go. Fire!
Rolly. Run!
They see me rolling. They hating.
Who even cares? Like, actually wasting it.
I think off of the Thors, some damage is dealt, sure. Thors will get caught in the middle by the Locust, maybe, so backing up is a pretty good choice. BC's still only on 1 base mining. He tries to get this base back up, but let's not forget, he's repairing it more than he is mining from it. Oh god, it's so tempting. Those Locusts. Oh, no. You waited like 1 more second, man.
DC is still mining from a base to the north. Still not his last economy. And Denver slow as his own economy.
Well, yeah, okay, his economy's been in a gutter. In fact, we look at the graph, like, this whole game hasn't exactly been phenomenal out of either, but I really like that he's moving towards the Hydras now. Normally, I would really hate Hydras against the Liberators and Blue Flame Hellions, but identifying that there's really not much of either, I think Denver can get away with just massing it. But, oh, so many Swarm Hosts walk into these Liberators. They get some pretty nice shots on them.
Yeah, they do. That was certainly a mistake. He didn't have to walk through those Liberator circles. And Denver's not at a point where he can really just give this game, like, you know, just do whatever and still win the game. Like, his Swarm Hosts are on a timer, literally, and he can't really replace individually. Obviously, they're supposed to be 3 units, and they're not supposed to be replaced, so.
Yeah, BC had to both kite with the Banshees and the Hellions. He chose to do with one, not the other. GG's, get called. Game number 1, gonna go to Denver.
Okay.
It's interesting watching the different regions of the world, right? Like, you play in North America, if you queue in S-Terran, you're playing all TVTs all night. You watch the Alima League over in Korea, and it's all TVTs on the top side of the bracket. You come to Europe, though, it's like this bastion of the world has figured Zerg out. And they make it work. And Denver, I mean, he's hardly the most renowned Zerg player out there, but he's looking good. Last time we saw him, he beat a laser. Today, he's got mech under his finger. Ooh, by the way, after this is done, we do have Nurtu and Neeb for the semifinals. That's going to be nice. But I guess we'll get a commercial break while I figure out this next game. See you guys in 2 minutes for map number 2. All right, folks, welcome back. We're going to be getting into game number 2 here in the round of 8 for the Corsair Cup. Big thank you to Salil2 for that 28-month resub kicking off this game. Not too shabby. But spawning in the upper right side of the map, he's the pink Terran player, currently down 1 game in the series. It's Beastyqt.
In the bottom left, as the red Zerg, he is Denver.
Of course, by the way, Bly has hosted us. Sorry, I didn't see this earlier. Bly, I think, hosted us after he was done playing and streaming his matches, so thank you very much for that. Just Me Executor sub for 1 year to say keep on casting. We'll keep supporting. Full Metal Octopus for the 6 months as well, so 6 months or something like that. Yay! Ha ha ha! Uvafridner, or European Vafridner, is what I'm going to go with. 31 months is almost 3 years of butts. Thank you guys for your long-time support of the channel. But, man, okay, so that game had an interesting way for it to play out. A lot of anger, passion, discussion in chat, whatever you want to call it. But for me, at the end of it, I look like Beastyqt tried to build that's mech. It didn't work out. And what I liked about it was Denver played that not poorly. I said it right at the start of the game. Like, mech works really well against players who don't know how to play against it. It's very clear to me after watching that game. Denver knows what to do.
Yeah. Well, apparently, as the rumor mill goes, a lot of European Zergs know what to do. And just to once again say it, I thought that Whirlwind Cross Vision was always a questionable mech map anyway.
Well,
so.
I agree with you, but it's funny because every time we've been watching, for example, like Innovation play, he's actually been very consistent about going the Cyclone Hellion attack. That's the borderline all-in on Whirlwind specifically.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. There's actually, when I think of the mech games we've seen in the last 2 months, it's been on Whirlwind. So it's like, I think that there's some good things about Whirlwinds for going mech. But I don't think cross position is ever very favorable for mech players or turtle players or Protoss players. Like, it's the con keeping it in the middle of the map. The amount of time your reinforcements come is a little more questionable than if it's vertical or horizontal, right? Because then it's pretty instant to their third base or even fourth base because you're attacking so much later. Anyway, I don't think that was the only problem in that game, and I'm not saying that Whirlwind is the reason he lost, and if he did it on Daybreak, he'd absolutely win. But I do think that having to split up his forces like he did, with Whirlwind's bases being so far apart and his reinforcements not being able to really reinforce, is all contributing, and just a lack of pressure. I mean, let's not forget that his opening really didn't do so much, and Denver was a lot of control in the early game with his mutas. Even if they didn't do a lot, they force a reaction, they scout very well, they buy that time for the Zerg player to get where they want to be.
Well,
to see drones for bases.
I'm curious how much BC's going to dedicate to this. He does go for Hellions again, and I'm imagining a medevac 2 to elevate that actually sounds super cool. Elevate them over. However, this was handled so well by Denver before. And what is this?
There's no point in faking anymore.
I think it is a fake though. The
There's
Overlord
no point
scouts
in
it. I mean, this
is just as expensive.
Okay, so if this doesn't actually complete, then okay, whatever for the fake. But on the off chance that it does, for those who don't know, Corporate Reactor gives Ravens extra starting energy. The sooner you invest into it, the more energy will be had overall, blah, blah, blah. But I would actually be really cool to see if Ravens are the direction you go. Auto turrets are so powerful and so just insane right now. But the story of these Hellions, this is supposed to get only a minimal amount of kills. This ends up getting 12 workers killed, and it's still not done yet. He's getting greedy for these last second.
Oh, yeah.
15. 15 workers killed.
That was super good. And these Ravens are going to be so obnoxious for them to deal with since he's not going for a 2-base muta again.
Yeah.
One just stays in the back somewhere or off to the side, comes in, auto turrets.
By the way, the difference of this too is almost a full minute is what it would take to get a second auto turret out. With this Raven energy, it only takes about 30 seconds. So when Beastyqt decides to commence whatever attack it's going to be, I don't care if you've got roaches or lings, auto turrets deal 24 damage a shot every half a second, and that's all you need to know.
Yeah. I like a different opener, you know? It's not the Terran's, old and done and not cool to watch, but new stuff's always fun.
The rapid Raven Rush may or may not turn out to be good, but as we see, this first one heads across the map very quickly, and a Spore Crawler might be down, but he's just going to be like, that can't shoot my auto turrets, are you kidding me?
Yeah, and done correctly, it won't even really damage the Raven, so...
Yeah, Hellions go back around too. A little bit greedy, but I think he's hoping to distract. He'll get maybe a couple drones for this, but really nothing close to the 15 that he got before. Here we go. Auto turrets,
Here
two
it
of them.
is.
Well, he's only gonna throw one down for now. This can kill the queen, by the way. I should emphasize that for the folks who have not seen these.
Bypassing the score color completely.
And there's the queen. Rip and pepperoni.
This is really good damage. Now, Beastyqt is not going into mech beyond this. He's not going into Sky Terran. He's not going into Factory mech. It's back into Bio, which is something that Denver might not anticipate. Not that Roaches are bad against it, but he's taking so much damage.
So this is where it gets a little bit interesting when you see the Ravens mixed up with this, right? Maybe this was entirely just for 2 Ravens, specifically to dedicate to harass, and he had no intention of making more or going any further. Okay, fine, cool, whatever. But had he actually done that, you know, Marauders are pretty good for soaking up Banelings. Auto turrets are too. I mean, there are structures that take the bonus damage, but the point is, like, it's a free unit that costs you nothing. It was energy on the Raven. Either way, these Ravens are, of course, cooking up more energy, so more auto turrets going to come down. Even the Roaches can't really contest these too easily, as we can see.
It's taking them a long time. Oh, he almost died.
You know, I never realized auto turrets burn. With the short lifespan, I'm sure it doesn't really matter, but I am wondering, like, can you actually have an auto turret burn down?
Yes, they count as structures, right?
Yeah.
You can see them on the structure tab.
Well,
But
so
yeah.
there's another part to this too, by the way, where I'm wondering if BC keeps these alive, instead of harassing with them, because eventually maybe there's the threat of mutas, maybe there's not. If he'll bring these with the main army, because if you think about it, a point defense drone, it's not going to stop roaches, but it would stop all queen damage and kind of guarantee safe drops.
Yeah, plus you don't have to scan for creep.
Yeah, there's
So,
that too. Free detection.
The biggest difficulties of getting Ravens with armies, in general, is the fact that their priority is really high, and with bio armies, is that they're not very fast, although their acceleration was buffed.
Yeah, they actually run ahead of the army now, which is really annoying.
Yeah, okay, now in a different way, I guess they're more annoying, but the point is, like, and it's also time spent on the starport, but if you're, you know, if it is similar to open up with Banshee, that is something that Terrans are used to swapping and dealing with.
My god.
Dim isn't done. 1-1 isn't done. Oh my god, this might be a perfect timing for Denver.
This is like an amazing timing for Denver. He has lost 28 workers going to this, but the SCV's got the repair on the bunker. He stopped for a second, but I think that's enough time bot to push this back. That being said, as Stim finishes up, and there's no way Denver can keep this up. With 28 workers in the hole, the army looking as good as it is. I mean, yeah, SCV's got pulled, but BC goes right back to work. He's on 3 bases with mules. I think BC's in a prime spot right now.
Yeah, that was super scary though. Like if there was Ling's company with that, and he just held the Marines in place, forced them to be picked up, breaks the oh my god, that was actually super close.
Denver, he's not even bothered replacing the drones in the main. By the way, I think he's just fed up with these auto turns at this point. GG.
He was like, "You have free units, I have free units. Fuck you."
All right, so game number 2 goes in the favor of Beast. He ties it up 1-1. That was kind of cool. I like that. Raven builds are always nice and fun, and even if it doesn't go full on like mech and dedication. But yeah, Neba and Nurchio, a lot of people were asking during that game. They should be up next. We do usually cast both semifinals in the Corsair Cup unless there's some sort of emergency, but we should be good to go with that. The winner of this will fight against Alive, so Alive actually doing quite well on the top side of the brackets. But for me, the most important thing is where and who places top 4 to determine the last couple spots for the monthly finals, or at least who gets invited. Of course, not everyone's obligated to come. If they don't want to play, they don't have to play. But Corsair Cup Season 1 Finals is worth $400, and that's the whole powered by Twitch part of this. Of course, Corsair Cup was already putting on $100 a week every week, but they had no connection. There's nothing to build towards. It was just the weekly cup. Now that it leads towards these gigantic finals, I think it's pretty cool and pretty awesome. And mega love to Twitch for helping make that possible.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, too, by the way, Corsair, we have a very interesting relationship with them. Because when they first gave us money, the story of the Corsair Cup is this. They gave Zombie Girl money and myself money to basically advertise Corsair stuff. We decided to make a tournament, so we took $0. We did not pay ourselves any money from Corsair, and all that money was used to put on the Corsair Cup prize pools for last year. But now, of course, they're very happy with it, and they're giving us a bit of cash. And Twitch pitching in to upgrade the cup makes everybody happy. Casters actually get paid for once, which is nice. Corsair gets its advertising, and Twitch gets to help make things more awesome.
Yes, they do.
I love this out of Vigilante, by the way. Why don't Terrans just put the auto turret gun on a tank? Dude, I for so long wanted to actually have a flatbed truck that you could build that you could just put like a missile turret in the back of or something and drive around with that.
That sounds like something that would belong in Command and Conquer, for sure.
No, that's a good point though. Like, you'd think with how powerful the auto turret technology is, you would like affix that to something, right? Like,
well, the auto turret technology has always been limited with lifespan, so it's really not that great.
Yo, I would take a limited ammunition turret that you could control better. I don't know. But okay, folks, we're getting to game number 3. Things are tied up 1-1, and in the upper right side of the map, it's going to be the pink Terran player, My Insanity's Beastyqt.
In the bottom left, as the red Zerg, he is Denver.
Now, Beastie may or may not go for mech. He may have other builds up his sleeve. It's kind of cool for me, though, watching him do this, because I know that he has been, in the past, a pretty big innovator when it comes to builds and trying new things. I think what we've seen, though, was like a game 1 that may have been inspired by some of the Koreans, game 2 that may have been inspired by Nathanias, but game 3, maybe his own concoction comes out of the build here.
Maybe. Those Ravens were so effective, I would not be surprised to see him do it again.
Yeah,
so effective, I'm kind of convinced to do it.
But so here's the asterisk. I don't think he could get away with it the same way in this map. There's not nearly enough dead space to hide in the same way that the Ravens were last game. And like, while you may come in and blitz down a couple of workers initially, let's not forget a majority of those kills came from the Hellions running in, not those 2 auto turrets.
It's true. Even Daybreak allowed for that space in the very back corner. Vonnie's like the best for it because you can just stay between the main and the natural, and it's just so obnoxious.
Yeah.
Let's see. Cactus, I think, has very limited space, and I want to say Bushido doesn't either. But the third base would still be vulnerable because you could just get out via the 4th pretty easily.
Yo, sorry. I just said the coolest thing happened, but nobody gets to see it.
Okay.
I do this thing where, like, when I finish a water bottle, I just kind of flip it off to the side because I'll put them all in a bag later. And it landed like nozzle first, like a missile, into a cup I had sitting there. So it was like the perfect throw by accident.
No one will believe you.
I know, and I didn't get it on camera. Son of a bitch. Thank you to MazeX for that new sub. Glad to have you on board. Welcome to the family.
Yep. Beastyqt did go for factory, so he's going into those Hellions again, it looks like. But the question still is about the Ravens. I think you're absolutely correct. It's a worse map for it, but even then, like, if you really do it right, they're not going to be paying attention to target down the Raven anyway with the Queen, so you could still try and get away with it no matter what the map circumstances are. But we'll see, and Denver will see as well. I think one Spore Crawl will be a lot more effective on Overgrowth, though, than it was on Daybreak. You can barely skirt around it.
Yeah, it wasn't even arranged for most of the attacks, which was really certainly disappointing, but... BC not rushing out Hellions this time, going straight to the Widow Mines, and looks like he's going to be doing a bit of a drop-off, unless that Starport's swapping over soon.
I think so. Yeah, it's always a little bit weird to see Widow Mines come out either before or after the Hellions. Before, it's usually because they think it's going to be like a Roach Rush, but after, it's still an interesting addition. And he is still going to go for the Medevac. I think we've seen BCQ do this before, and I was always like, well, is it really worth it?
Why swap to the Tech Lab, though? I'm actually really curious what the Tech Lab is going to be for.
Oh, definitely something like Banshees or something like that, but it's silly looking. I guess Denver won't anticipate a Medevac. He'll be like, what, that was on the Tech Lab? What are you doing? We'll see if it does any damage. The Widow Mines being placed in the middle of the map in various different locations is really annoying. If they get into the mineral line this early when they don't anticipate, they could also be annoying. But you saw a Tech Lab at the Starport. You should already have Spore Crawlers down.
Denver needed a bit of a pause. It's kind of cool, though. I like that he came out with the second Overlord to scout and confirm this wasn't some sort of really weird thing. Like, it is actually just going to be Cloaked Banshees. While we're on pause, Braves in chat wants to know, Rifkin, are you playing more H1Z1 with Nate tonight? I am down if Nate is down. I know he popped into chat earlier asking if I'd be down to play. And oh, if you guys missed it last night, we had like a top 4 finish. It was so close. I was so hyped in that game. I have definitely been enjoying playing that quite a bit. And I'm looking forward to tonight if that ends up happening. But not too late because we got the Alien League, of course.
Yeah. Oh, this is a nice little counter by Denver, getting 6 SCVs, distracting Beastyqt as well. Beastyqt does still drop off the Widow Mines. They hit a bunch of larvae, which is not bad, but no drones.
Yeah, and looks like Spore Crawlers are finishing up too, so time here is very limited. He does get them out both alive, which is nice, and he gets to the other base. These will actually be off cooldown before that Spore Crawler is done, so maybe some drones. The funny thing is that the main base is the only place that has no detection whatsoever, so had he gone straight to the main, he would have actually racked up quite a few kills. But that's where that
Right?
maybe distraction factor comes in.
Funny thing about the Widow Mine into Banshee, or just having the tech lab on the starport preemptively, is that Denver really should have had Sparkles already down everywhere. Because either he thinks they're Banshees and there's not, but he still deals with the Widow Mines, or he does deal with the Widow Mines and then has already dealt with the Banshees in a way. This is not a good way to deal with Banshees, though. Sending Roaches for a counter when you know they went or you figured they went Banshees, it usually isn't worth the amount of Roaches that die for any amount of SCVs you get. Lings are kind of a different issue, because like 20 Lings can get to every single nook and cranny, but Roaches usually don't do enough. That was kind of a waste.
Banshees did a fantastic job cleaning that up, by the way. Nicopol! Thank you for the Twitch Prime sub.
And if Beastyqt just checked over to the left, he'd have another couple free units.
Yeah, but heading across the map's not bad either. Looking for some kills. That queen's already pretty low, actually, so that will go down pretty quick. Have to avoid this war color, though. I think right now what's interesting, though, is BC... Well, okay, we're just getting to the base. It's a bit awkward. Scumbag
Very
wall.
awkward.
I don't know
He
why
doesn't
it
have
was
any
down.
barracks production.
Yeah, I don't know why it was down. That's why the Banshees are coming back. This actually really screws him over, because as you said, if you looked to the left, he would have picked off these units. This would have never happened. But this also takes away his timing, because when when he was set to go across the map, he was going to kill a queen, maybe a couple of drones, and there'd be nothing to push him back. Now there's going to already be Hydras made. Banshees are not going to accomplish anything across the map.
And we should talk about the Hydras. The Hydras are a weird choice. Even if he thought it was going to be mech, which from what he scouted, I think before he scouted the engineering base, he might have thought it was mech. But whether it's mech or bio, Hydras just aren't really made. It's like Mass Roach, maybe Corruptors, Bling Nuda,
Well,
like not Hydras.
I mean, thinking back on it, though, Roach Hydra was a pretty core composition back in the day. It got replaced by the effectiveness of Ravagers and Fungal Growths with that combination, but I can see Hydra's working, especially against what at least is the harass part of this. Why did that fall? By the way, let's rewind time for a second here. Why did that fall off? Like, what? Fungal Growths and Corrosive Biles look to be like an unbeatable combination, especially when like hitting Bioforces. But nobody's done that in months. I am curious, like, why that just died out.
I think the amount of pressure in the mid game the Terrans could do would just end up being too effective. Like, once Terrans learned to get tanks and to spread tanks, you know, it was no longer about fungal corrosive bio.
Actually,
it was about trying to race the Vipers.
No, that's a really good point, too, because back when that combination worked, tanks didn't hit for 70 a shot, so Infestors can't really take hits anymore. So that actually makes a lot of sense, yeah. I like that combination, though. I thought it was really cool seeing like the skill shots on both sides, right? On one hand, landing Corrosive Biles, but on the other, landing the Fungal Growths.
Well, the Roaches aren't going to stand up to the tanks for very long, but hopefully long enough for the Hydras to do their damage.
Maybe the Banshees are also going to be helping out a little bit, but the Banshee, unfortunately, will go down very quick if the Hydras focus her down. There we go. She gets shot, but the Marines and the tanks hold, and Denver's attack falls flat, but Beasty's the one left with nothing remaining.
Yeah, it's not really flat. In fact, it's not even over, and he's reinforcing, and Beastyqt
Oh, jeez, yeah, the rally.
can't do anything about it. His combat shield was late, his upgrades were late. I think this is game over for Beasty.
Well,
His opener did not work out the way that he wanted to, though. This has been, I think, a bad game start to finish.
Yeah, agreed. I was just going to say, though, if he had a pretty good defensive position with tanks, we could see him level out the army supply, but even then, even if that happens, the fact that Denver is still sitting on like 60 drones on 4 bases behind this. So even if he takes a great fight here, and he's going to, like, that tank is just getting free shots for days on the Roaches and the Hydras, it's still not going to be a winning battle for Beasty. That third base is still not down. He's not mining. His production's going to be severely hampered. It already is, actually.
Yeah. His upgrades are going to fall behind as well, and while Liberators can also help temporarily hold on in the choke, it's all temporary. And now Denver is going to advance onto Hive, and once he has Vipers, Beastyqt's army is not scary at all. And the tanks right now are a little bit scary. You just abduct them or blinding cloud them, it's not a big deal.
Yeah. Scans to see if it's safe to move out. By the way, those 2 scans are 2 mules the Beasty couldn't afford to not have.
Yeah. feels confident pushing out even without his tanks being sieged. A little scary. But Denver is investing into other things right now, so he did not have a maxed out army on the front lines. He will eventually, and again with Vipers. And Beastyqt, if he continues on with the Liberator, might be able to scout that, and maybe he's just trying turtle all day long. No matter what, it's going to be hard.
Well, the attempt at Liberators bring this back, not quite cutting it. Hey, so let me actually talk to you about Liberators for a second, right? We talked about the balance changes that are coming. Would you rather have Liberators be in their current form, but they still deal a lot of damage, just slightly less? Or would you rather have them be more like Novas from Co-op, where they don't deal very much damage at all, but they can also attack buildings?
I'm not playing enough Co-op to really remember how much damage they do.
It's like 30 or 35 or something.
Yeah, but I gotta think in terms of like interactions. No, I think I like them right now. I don't really care that they can't attack buildings.
GG. Denver takes the series 2-1.
What about you?
For me, I would actually like Novas, I think, to be honest. Because right now, like, they've got a set dynamic, but they're still not the most popular things that we see everybody go for. Like, again, I think if they could hit buildings or something, that'd be cool. I don't know. I'm not trying to say it would be necessarily better or worse objectively, but anyways, we got the other semifinals waiting on us. We don't want to keep them waiting too long. We'll save our thoughts and theories for the moment. Go to commercial break, and when we return, Nurchio versus Neeb, PvZ. We'll see you soon.